adjourn.
Regular meeting for Tuesday, March 17th, called to order for Tangipahoa Parish School Board. Roll call, please.
Ms. Richards? Mr. Toller?
Here.
No.
Ms. Abrams?
Here.
Mr. Westmoreland?
Present.
Mr. Duncan?
He's on his way.
Mr. Bush?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Ms. Simmons?
Here.
Ms. Dominguez?
Present.
Thank you. If you would, let's please all stand. I'm going to ask Ms. Simmons if she would to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Consider approval of board minutes from March the 3rd, 2020.
Make a motion that we accept.
Motion made to accept the minutes.
Second.
Second by Mr. Westmoreland.
Online voting is now open.
That's what I was asking. Did we join the meeting already? So I see I'm in. No, I'm good.
Oh, you good?
Yes.
Okay.
Just tell her, yeah. Just tell her, yeah.
You vote yes? Okay. Final votes cast. Online voting is closed. Motion passes.
Motion carries. Item 2A, Finance Committee from March 3rd, 2020. Do I hear a motion that we accept that?
Make a motion to accept Finance Committee.
Motion made to accept.
A second.
Seconded by Ms. Abrams. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions? Call for the vote then.
Online voting is open. Vote is cast. Online voting is closed. Motion passes.
Motion carries. Item 2B, Instructional.
Give me 1 second to look Mr. Duncan.
Okay. Now let the record indicate that Ms. Duncan is here. Item 2B, Instructional Accountability and Support Committee from March the 3rd, 2020. Do I hear a motion to accept that?
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Dominguez, second by Mr. Westmoreland.
Online voting is open.
Be quick. Thank you.
Final votes cast. Online voting is closed. Motion passes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item 2C, Personnel Committee, March 3rd, 2020.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ms. Simmons,
Second.
second by Mr. Dominguez. Any questions?
Online voting is open. Final votes cast. Online voting is closed. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 3A, discuss and consider declaring an emergency to authorize the administration to take the necessary steps to comply with the governor's executive proclamation number JBE 2020-27 and any future proclamations related to the COVID-19 coronavirus. Superintendent.
Yes. Mr. Schnaubach's going to talk with us about the emergency proclamation.
What's that for?
Mr. President,
Yes.
Vice President of the Board, we come before you today to ask for approval of the declaration of a public emergency. I'd like to read the declaration to the Board. Whereas on December 31st, 2019, officials in China alerted the World Health Organization to several cases of an unknown respiratory illness, primarily concentrated in the city of Wuhan, can't pronounce that, province. And whereas after further investigating the illness and ruling out the reoccurrence of other previously known viruses, officials on January 7, 2020, announced the discovery of a new virus belonging to the coronavirus family of viruses, COVID-19. And whereas, over the following weeks, the Chinese government began to report additional cases of the virus, evidencing a propensity of the virus to spread throughout China and beyond. And whereas, by January 30th, 2020, approximately 18 countries outside of China were reporting cases of the virus, causing the World Health Organization to declare a virus public health emergency of international concern. And whereas over the following weeks, the virus continued to spread to nations around the globe, affecting thousands of individuals. And whereas on March 11th, 2020, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak a global pandemic. And whereas on March 11, 2020, the governor of the state of Louisiana declared a public health emergency over the coronavirus outbreak. And whereas on March 13, 2020, the President of the United States of America declared a national emergency due to the coronavirus outbreak. And whereas, in an attempt to combat the spread of the virus, the governor on March 13, 2020, ordered the closure of all public elementary and secondary schools in Louisiana beginning on March 16, 2020 and ending on April 13, 2020. And whereas many children depend on the services of the Tangipahoa Parish School Board for essential services such as provision of healthy meals, and whereas while the cancellation of school will hopefully serve to combat the spread of the virus, such cancellation may put children at risk of not receiving enough healthy meals during the prolonged closure. And whereas the spread of the virus and its impact on the everyday lives of the school board's students, faculty, staff, and their family members requires the school board to take unprecedented steps to combat the spread of the virus and to serve the children of Tangipahoa Parish. And whereas the sudden closure of all schools until April 13th or later has also caused confusion and concern to employees of the school district about their ability to continue to be able to support their families through receipts of compensation from the school board. Now, therefore, the above recitals considered, the school board desires to utilize its assets in the fight against the coronavirus as more fully set forth below. And now, considering the foregoing, the school board hereby declares as follows. Be it declared that the Tangipahoa Parish School Board hereby declares a public emergency due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. Be it further declared that notwithstanding any policy or rule to the contrary, the school board hereby confers emergency powers upon the superintendent of schools for the purpose of leading the school board's response to the outbreak. Such emergency power include, at the sole discretion of the superintendent, 1, the authority to enter into any agreement or contract without any further board approval for the purchase of materials, equipment, supplies, or services for sanitation, cleaning, technology, and other COVID-19 related services and supplies on behalf of the school board. 2, the authority to supply and arrange for the delivery of meals to all children of the parish 18 years of age or younger at no cost to the child or his or her family. 3, the authority to continue to pay school employees their regular compensation during the period schools are closed. 4, the authority to adjust curriculum, work schedules, compensation, and staff assignments without any further board approval. 5, the authority to adjust the school calendar. 6, the authority to apply to BESE, the Louisiana Department of Education, and/or the U.S. Department of Education for any other governmental body or for waivers of regulations or requirements, the compliance of which is impacted by COVID-19. 7, the authority to apply for waivers, grants, reimbursements, aid, and other COVID-19 related matters on behalf of the school board. 8, the authority to provide non-mandatory supplemental education resources to students. 9, the authority to take any other action reasonably necessary to implement the above directives. Be it further declared that the superintendent is required to report in writing and at reasonable intervals to the school board as to the amount of the expenditures made pursuant to this declaration, as well as the actions taken by the superintendent pursuant to this declaration. Be it further declared that in accordance with the governor's declaration, any binding requirement of the Louisiana Public Bid Law applicable to any purchases related to the school board's response to the coronavirus outbreak are hereby suspended. Be it further declared that this declaration shall remain in effect until withdrawn by the school board. Be it further declared that the notice of the provisions contained herein shall be published in the official journals of the Tangipahoa Parish School Board within 10 business days hereof. This declaration is adopted by the Tangipahoa Parish School Board at a regular meeting held on the 17th of March, 2020 in Tangipahoa Parish.
Thank you. Could you read that again?
Yes, sir.
Let me get that in form of a motion so we can get it on the floor, please.
I'll make a motion that we accept the declaration.
Motion made by Ms. Abrams,
I'll second.
seconded by Ms. Dominguez. All right, questions, comments, discussions?
Okay, I have a question.
Mr. Moore?
Okay, item number 4, the authority to adjust curriculum, work schedules, compensation, and staff assignments without any further board approval.
Please speak to the microphone, too.
Right, now, it has come to my attention that there may be some grievances, among a group of workers who probably have the hardest job in the school system. I don't know if this has been addressed already, but they are also probably the lowest paid, their pay scale. But they're being asked to stay on, and for something that is, absolutely necessary, and that is to prepare the food that is going out.
Mr. Moore, if I could stop you, our policy, school board policy, requires that during a declared emergency, if we ask our non-exempt employees to work, that we compensate them for the hours that they work. So they will be compensated. Those employees that stay home will receive their regular compensation. Those employees that are asked to work, like our cafeteria workers, they will be paid an additional stipend for each hour they work based on their current hourly pay. So they would actually be paid twice.
Okay, so who gave you the ups on that? Who told you I was going to ask that question?
That's okay. No, and it's perfectly fine. No. It's in our policy. The superintendent and our staff have been talking about it all day today.
Okay, excellent.
Good question.
Yes.
Ms.
But technically, though, Mr. Moore, the superintendent hires the employees to work in our system, and she already has the authority to place them wherever they're needed, or move them wherever they're needed anyway.
Well, yeah, I understand and agree with that. I know this is just important, and I just think that those employees who are already working for minimal wages,
Yeah,
deserve some compensation.
yeah, that's good.
And you're absolutely correct, Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Other questions? Mr. Duncan?
And I appreciate that information. That was something that I had heard about as well, and I think there was some misinformation out there, maybe just people who didn't know that was the plan. The only portion of the resolution that I kind of have a concern with is the portion that talks about the declaration remaining in effect until withdrawn by the school board. Just knowing that we've passed declarations like this in the past and never really came back to withdraw them or to withdraw the authority. And so I was going to suggest that we put a termination date, perhaps of July the 31st, unless withdrawn sooner. And then that way there won't be any sort of, so I would at this point move to amend the resolution, adding the language to the second to last declaration so that it will read as follows: that this declaration shall remain in effect until withdrawn by the school board or July 31st, 2020, whichever occurs first.
Okay. We have an amendment, and we have a second.
So it would read, as amended, would say that this declaration shall remain in effect until withdrawn by the school board or July 31st, 2020, whichever occurs first. Does July have 31 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and that was seconded by Ms. Richards. The amendment was made by Mr. Duncan. Okay, any other questions?
We need to vote on the amendment.
We need to vote on it. Oh, I'm sorry.
We need to vote on the amendment.
Right. Letting her catch up. Okay. This is voting on the motion as amended?
Just voting on the amendment.
To allow the amendment.
Because what it says on here is,
Yes, so we need to vote. Okay, so this is going to be the vote on the amendment.
just to clarify, this motion is for the amendment added to the,
Okay.
not that it's an issue, but just to clarify. Yeah. You probably have to go back to your board docs. There you go. And she's got it now.
Got it. Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Final voting, online voting is closed. Motion passes.
Okay, that's the motion for the amendment to the original motion. So back to the discussion on the motion.
I have one question.
All right, Mr. Bush?
The authority to supply and arrange for the delivery of meals to all the children in the of the parish. Now, I know we got that directive about private schools and Catholic schools. Is that some kind of state mandate?
Yes.
Okay, I want to get that clear because my phone's been ringing. Here's the other question about that. What if someone comes from another parish passing through?
They show up and they're under the age of 18, they will receive a meal.
Yep.
Is there any way we could maybe put that somewhere out there? Just let everybody know. I mean, I don't want to, would that invite other children to come over here, you think, or?
Well, every parish is doing it.
Oh, okay. Then, cool.
64 out of 69 school districts already committed to their meal plan.
Anybody. And we're not going to worry about it if they go to Ponchatoula or Independence or Livingston Parish.
I'm sure that'll be in Ms. Dilly's update too as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions about the
I
motion?
have a
Can I-
question.
oh.
So how do we keep, say, John Brown going through twice? Do they,
Hold on.
you don't?
Ms. Simmons,
Advertising that, where we have,
yeah,
we're counting meals and we're taking names. That's what we're instructing.
Can I?
and we'll get, I'm sure that'll come up in her information about the update, so, but, yeah.
Well, I mean, just the point of that, all of the food program is all a federal program that's going to be paid with the federal dollars. So the system is not going to be out
Yeah.
any money, no matter how many meals we give out. Is that?
Okay.
Yeah.
You saying switch mics?
No. Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Any other questions on the motion to declare for the declaration?
So what happens if we don't know how many lunches we're doing, what happens to all that food afterwards, if it's left over?
The food we're serving starting tomorrow is going to be a prepackaged breakfast meal and then a sandwich. The food will have a refrigeration life, so if we don't serve it the first day, we'll retain some of it for the second day. We're hoping to get a better count day after day once we start getting an idea how many students are eating. We're a little concerned about the number of meals we'll be serving the first day, but we're going to try to do our best, and hopefully we have enough meals to meet the need and that we're not under-preparing meals.
Absolutely.
This is going to be, it's going to be a one-time serving per,
2 meals.
2 meals in one package.
Yes, what's going to happen is,
Between the hours of 11 a.m. and 1 p.m.
Correct.
Okay.
Just a reminder, okay? The superintendent's just to give an update on all this, so I'd hate for us to get too bogged down into individual questions about how, and
Because we're
let's
talking
let her.
about the declaration.
Yeah, right now we're doing declaration, that's what the motion's about, so that's what the question should be about. Not trying to cut anybody off, because we'll have a chance to grill her in a few minutes with these
Call the
questions.
question.
All right, question's been called for on the motion for the resolution. As amended, correct. Motion was already made,
Ms. Abrams?
yes.
I had seconded it, yeah.
Yes, and Mr. Minguez has seconded.
Online voting is open. Cast your final vote. Online voting is closed. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Now, update on the district's plan of action in response to the proclamation. And then we will open it up for y'all to grill her with questions.
Mr. Toller, if you could tell them to speak into their mic, because I couldn't hardly hear Randy a while ago.
Yes. For the benefit, and keep in mind too, the board needs to keep in mind that tonight's meeting is being live streamed because the public was limited on access to our meeting. So we want to make sure that they can hear us and hear us well, so please speak into your microphones when asking a question. Superintendent?
Yes. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to provide the board with an update tonight and the public on where we are. On Friday afternoon, after 1 o'clock, we were notified that the governor put into effect an executive order closing all of the schools in the state. So within 72 hours, our staff, many of them here, some of them here, many of them not here, were able to put together a lot of different things to try to meet the needs of our students and our families. And so tonight, I wanted to hit on some of the key items and also answering questions you might have. So first of all, on the next slide, I want to talk first about the optional resources for home learning, and the word optional should be stressed. So there's no grades. Cindy, you can click on that link. There are no grades here that you will collect, that teachers will collect here. It's right on our website, so it's very easy for parents to find. They go right to our website. They can click there on that link. It will take them to the optional resources for home learning. And if you scroll all the way down, Cindy, to the bottom, it will actually tell the parent here that there are no grades or attendance taken during these 4 weeks, that the instructional materials are provided strictly optional for students, because we realize that many of our students do not have access to internet or devices. And so you can hardly grade things when all of your students do not have access. So I want to take you through some of the instructional resources that are online. A lot of these things, I was showing my grandson last night, who's a 5th grader. So Cindy, if you'll click on that 3rd to 5th grade link. So the parent goes to the side of the child, they click on their grade band. You can click on the Eureka Math. Let's just start with that, even though there's all subjects in here, I think, or most of them. If you scroll down, Cindy, let's look at 4th grade. So it's by grade level. They click on their grade level. And then they go to the module that they're on now, which I asked my grandson, he says, we're on, it was module 6 or something. But if you look at the module, each module has the YouTube videos, which is really a teacher teaching the lesson and showing the students how to work the problem and how to think it out. There's a homework helper, which has some additional problems for students to work on, practice. And then there's a parent guide. And so for each of the modules there, you'll see that. So our team did a great job on just making this very user-friendly. Just click on the resources, click on your grade band, click on the subject you want to work with. So if we can go back to the page again. If you go on down, you'll see things for ELA, links. My grandson last night was able to pull up on his smartphone the Eureka Math YouTube videos and watch the instruction of that being taught, and then click on a few of the things. So it can be accessed from a smartphone. Of course, it's probably much better to do it from an iPad and so forth. So all those resources are built in currently in our resource bank for students to work on. So Cindy, if you can go back to the PowerPoint. So we want to take a look at the frequently asked questions. We'll see if this is going to link over. It should, maybe. If not, you can go back to the website. Yeah. Sorry, you have two laptops over there.
While she's doing that, Ms.
Most people
Silly,
can only run one. Yes.
those optional resources are in addition to what the teachers are putting on.
So the
on
teachers
course and all.
have been working to build out their either own course classroom or Google Classroom. Some teachers prefer one portal over the other, and so they have the option to do that. And so teachers have added things into their portal, but what we have cautioned teachers about is that we cannot assign work to kids to do and expect it to be done and graded. That's what we can't do. But we can provide them with the resources in both our resource site, and then a lot of our teachers have these things linked in their lessons. So if they're a math teacher, they will have the Eureka Math things linked into their portal, either on course or Google. So on this one, the frequently asked questions, our team put together a list of just, again, putting out information, reminding our parents to stay connected through our website and Facebook page. We update it with the date when we have new information. Again, it's not graded, it's optional. The things you need to know are the FAQs. And as we get questions, we catalog them in here, and then we put the answers. And then if we get updated information from the state, which we have been on multiple calls from the state level over the course of the last 3 or 4 days and through the weekend on updates. Today we had a call at 2, yesterday I think it was at 1, and then we've been having Zoom calls with our principals to update them every day. So you'll see here the different updates that we have frequently asked. We have it in categories. Sometimes it's relative to registration, sometimes it's food service. So I think my next item I wanted to talk about real quick was the food service. So you can take a look here. We have the sites that we will be serving our meals. We have 12 sites that we will be doing. We have feeder pan patterns. So, for instance, in the Laranja area, we're doing Laranja Elementary. Independence area, we're doing Independence Elementary, like one school per feeder pattern. And again, it's for students that are 18 or under. And underneath, if you keep scrolling, Cindy, it has the curbside grab and go meal pickup form that if, for instance, if it's not the mother that just has her child and she's picking up a meal, let's say it's a neighbor who's in the neighborhood and she's picking up the meals or he's picking up the meals for several, there's just a really simple form that you put your name, I'm picking them up, and then these are the list of students that I'm picking up for, and they give us that form, or they can put it on a piece of paper. It doesn't necessarily have to be on that form. We just need to know who the meals are going to, and then we give those individuals the meals, and it's like almost like a carpool, but it's sort of a drive-through carpool. So they drive up, we get the sheets, we hand them the meals, they move on. Tomorrow we have all of our principals will be at their sites. So for instance, in Amite, it's at Amite High, so we'll have Amite Westside, Amite Elementary, Roseland principal at Amite High, assisting with the food service staff. All of our central office folks are going to a school tomorrow from 10:30 to 1:30 because it's kind of like this. It's like having a party at your house, and you say, everyone's invited. And then you get ready to boil the crawfish or whatever, and you're like, well, should I do 50 pounds? Should I do 100 pounds? And you're just like not sure how many's going to come. So sometimes you may underguess, sometimes you over. Hopefully you'll hit it close. So tomorrow's going to be a bumpy day, to say the least, because, you know, we're not sure. There's no way to predict the number that we'll have coming out. So we want everyone on deck, all hands on deck tomorrow, assisting and helping the logistics of that. On here, on the website as well, Brett, Mr. Schnottelbach put together a site location, address, and phone numbers to the cafeteria. Also, driving directions, so it tells you exactly where to line up to get your meals under the driving directions link, the form that you can use. Phone numbers, the reason we wanted to put the phone numbers by the locations of the serving sites is so, you know, if I'm a church and let's say I want to go and pick up in the neighborhood, and I'm going to have some kids at my church and I want to go pick up, say, 20 or 30 or 40 or however many, I could call and let them know that it's going to be a big pickup for me. So you sort of can call the school and give them a heads up that morning. Our cafeteria staff will be there early, 6 o'clock. So you could call and place, you know, big things and just give them a heads up on planning so they'll know that morning. By 9, we're saying before 9 a.m. for that, for big pickups. But we still would like to know, and we need to know which kids are getting those meals. And one of the reasons we want to do that is we want to do a follow-up survey with our parents to find out if, A, they felt like it was adequate, if the food was okay when they received it, if there's any feedback that we need in order to improve upon what they're getting there delivered or picked up. So that's one of the things we want to do is some follow-up calls just to check in with some of our parents and just make sure that everything was okay with the meal. So that's let's go back to the PowerPoint again. Oh, next slide. No, there we go. So starts tomorrow. We'll run through April the 9th, and the reason for that is because Friday is Good Friday, the 10th, and it's a holiday for all of our employees. We'll do it Monday through Friday from 11 to 1, and there's forms. This is kind of a sample of what the form looks like. It's real easy. You put your name at the top. I'm picking it up. If it's an organization like I'm Susie, and I'm picking up for First Baptist Church, then I can say, okay, I'm at Champ Cooper or whatever site, and then I can list if it's 3 kids or 5 kids or more than that. You can flip it over, write the names on the back. The child's school, the reason it says it's not if applicable is because, remember, we can serve 18 to 0. So it could be a 2-year-old that's not in school. So that's why that's there. Then, again, our sites. And there was a mistake on our release we put out. I want to make sure I call everyone's attention to this. For the Amite area, I think in the release, I received an email just a few minutes ago. It said Amite West Side, which originally I think we were thinking about West Side. And then we realized that the high school had more room for cars than West Side, Amite West Side. So it's Amite High School in the Amite area. So these are the schools that will have the grab-and-go sites. So I'm going to stop there and just see, before I get into accountability waivers and testing stuff, I want to just pause and see if anyone has a question about lunches, and also ask the team over here, was there something like key that I forgot to mention about that? Okay.
So will somebody be at Amite West Side for the
Yes.
people who got the wrong information
Yes.
to make sure that they're...
Yes. I'll ask the principal to hang back there, or maybe the custodian could do that
Just move 'em.
during that time period, just to make sure.
Also, too, now, so there's no way to police if somebody comes and they don't have a kid in school at all? You know what I mean? Just
Well-
somebody off the street knows about the program?
So what we're trying to do is, for instance, I've had, over the weekend, I've had several parents that have communicated with me through Facebook Messenger. And they said, Ms. Stilley, I have to work. My kids are going to be at home with their older sibling that's, in 8th grade or 9th grade or whatever. They're not going to have a way to get to the school. But we do have a neighbor who can pick up the lunches for for my kids, and her kids, and the neighbor's kids. And so that's why we came up with this system, so that, we're trying to keep in mind that there may be other people that need to get the food to the children.
But there's no way to know if they're not doing that. They're just doing it because, it's a free meal.
Well, we won't know instantly. Now, when we survey the parents, because we can look up in our system the children that are listed if they're in school, we can look them up in our system, and we can email the parent or give them a call and just find out the quality of the meal and if it was adequate. That would be the only way we would know if the person picking it up did something else with it, besides give it to that child.
Have you contacted Ponchatoula PD? Because the junior high school is, amongst, and if we get Tucker and Perrin and DC Reeves, and we're going to have a traffic jam.
Yes.
The high school might be okay because it's off the road.
We've been working with the sheriff's office and the Hammond Police and the Ponchatoula Police, so we should have
Yes. We're working with all of the agencies to have some coverage at all of our schools for resource officers to help us with traffic or whatever. Yes.
Okay. My question is, and I know the mayor from Roseland is here, and one of the concerns is to come and have a large pickup for the children that don't have transportation to come. Well, the forms, will they have to have the names? Because they may not have that when the initial come pick it up, but as the children get them, they could get the names. Is that?
Brett, what did we decide on that? Come talk. I know y'all met after our meeting about that.
What we decided in that situation is that they would take the blank form, and as they hand the meal out, they will gather the child's name,
Okay.
and then they'll return the form completed the
Okay.
next day.
On that note, can we hit a pause button? Because I do have input, public request input.
Yes.
And it would be probably good if Ms. Wanda would come up now and do it now rather than wait.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Ms. Wanda McCoy, would you like to come up and address on public input? Just makes sense to do it right now since we're actually on that topic, than make you wait till the very end. And your question may have already been answered, so if that's the case, then it'll be short, but.
Yes. My concern was that kids from Roseland may not have the transportation like myself. I work, so I would have to have someone to come and pick up my child
Right.
lunch. Another thing, and maybe I'm just throwing this out there, like a bus or a van, if someone can come pick up the food for the kids, like Roseland or Cola Fluka area, because I know there's gonna be a long line of cars picking up lunches for the kids. So I was thinking about maybe a bus that can drop it off at churches. These kids that live on this street maybe can pick up from this church, or kids that live in another block can pick up from another church, instead of having all the parents, which I know all parents are not gonna be able, at least 6% in Roseland not gonna be able to come and pick up lunches. So that was my question.
Right.
How could we get the kids that don't have the transportation, or parents not home, or parents don't have the transportation? How do they get their meal?
Right. Okay. Thank you, Ms. McCoy.
Ms. Stilley, is it possible after the first few days of trying this and seeing how it works,
Yes.
that maybe we can contact, some of the other churches can contact us, and maybe they can pick up large amounts and let them come pick it up?
Yes, we were trying to get started as fast as possible, really, 72 hours to plan it out and get the details out to the public. So, we think that for instance, we've already set up a Zoom call tomorrow at 3 o'clock with our principals and all of our staff to debrief after tomorrow's. So we may have to tweak, we may see that we, have areas where one reason we wanted the principals in that attendance zone or that feeder pattern there is they could recognize that they didn't have a lot of their kids come through or things like that, and we need to come up with some alternate plans maybe for some areas of the parish. So this is to get us started, but we're not opposed to tweaking it, as we always do, and figuring out where our spots are, where we are not having the numbers of kids coming out, or families.
You just need to ask the public that they be patient with y'all at this time, because this is something uncharted territory. We're all new at this, and we just need to, don't get on Facebook and start blasting because they didn't do this and they didn't do that. This is all new, and our teachers and our principals and our superintendent are working very hard to make sure that this all happens.
Thank you.
Any other questions? More?
Yeah. Even if we were well-practiced, even if this happens every year, and we had to go through this, and the system was perfect, there's a possibility that we might miss a child. And I know that it is, everybody's concerned to make sure that that doesn't happen, but invariably, it may. Have you guys considered some way to rectify that? And I know that, possibly, someone may call and say we didn't get a provision. And it may just be a family that doesn't have a phone.
And I think it's going to be hard, a challenge, is to get to every student, 20,000 students. That's school students, 20,000. That's not even counting the ones that are not in, our school system yet. So I think it's going to be a challenge to say that we can get to every single student. We're going to try to get to as many as we can, and we want to service as many as we can. So again, I think we've got to go through the next couple days and just see. That's one reason why we want the names too, so we can kind of see where those kids are coming from, so we can see if we have spots that we need to do that. Our cafeteria staff report at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're there till 2. So, and that's sort of the clean up, put up stuff that time. So, I don't know, I don't think it's a perfect plan, but it's, trying to get to as many families as we can. So if there are community members out there, and since this is being as a live stream, I would encourage individuals that know neighbors that do not have vehicles and have children, that they can help to come pick up their meals and get them back to them, or maybe even take turns each day where one goes one day and another one goes another day, that kind of thing. So I think this is a time where I think we need our community to help us, to identify and kind of work together.
I know that the Ministerial Alliance has expressed, great interest in being as helpful to you as possible. Using their services to reach those children who miss it, to maybe catch that child, or to make sure that child gets a meal the next day. If we could, if we have children who do miss it, we can give those names.
Yes.
I don't know how limited we are as far as giving out a location for that to be delivered, but I would think that if we had just that one specific location that we had to deliver to, that we might be able to give that information out. I don't know if we'd be allowed to do that.
Allowed to do what?
To give an address to one of the members of the Ministerial Alliances. To volunteer groups.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, because I think that the churches would be an excellent way, and most of the members of churches that I've talked to, and who have come up to me, seem to be perfectly willing.
Yes.
To extend that hand in helping getting those meals out.
Yeah, and I've actually had some emails just tonight with just people in the community that want to come up and even help get the meals handed out with our staff, So I think, again, that's one of the great things about our parish is we always seem to pull together and make it work. And we're going to do it this time, too.
So, Ms. Stilley, on what Mr. Moore was talking about, it sounds to me like the system that the administration has set up, it really has allowed for it to be a very organic process if somebody wants to help distribute meals, right? They just need, if you're a church minister and you want to make sure that all the kids in your church have their meals, you get the list of the kids in your church, you put it on the form, you show up at one of these sites and you pick up however many meals, call ahead if you can. But if you don't call, we're still going to give you
Yes.
however many meals you show up with your form, right? We don't, and if you're a neighbor and you want to pick up for the kids on your street,
Yep.
you put their names on the form, you show up, you pick up your meals, you bring them back to the kids. So it sounds like that's the way we want to try to do this for at least for the next few days, and hope that our community will step up and make sure that your friends, your neighbors, your church members, all of those folks are taken care of. I mean,
Exactly right.
But, so we don't have, nobody needs to, I mean, we'd like for you to call ahead of time, but it doesn't have to be a super complicated, coordinated effort the way that this is all set up,
It
right?
is very organic. You're right.
Any others? Ms. Simmons?
Okay, I noticed on the school board messages that someone was concerned about liability, and that we were to check with Mr. Moody about people picking up, getting hurt or something on the way and all that. Do we have a problem with that, or is that just not going to be
You want to talk
an
about
issue?
that? Kendra, who's our director of food services, this afternoon, she's been, one night, it was, 11 o'clock, she was up here trying to plan this stuff out. But I made her go home today and go to sleep because I told her, we all got this. We're going to be there tomorrow and all the sites, and we're going to make this work. But she has been in contact at the state level. And because they are not hot meals, at least we're not starting with the hot meals, that it's okay to give those to individuals to deliver, and they're sealed, and those kinds of precautions. So we don't foresee any problems with that. And she's been in contact with the state LDOE, and that's the same as what other districts are doing. Grab and go.
That was my question, and it was more of if we did it off-site at a church somewhere, people pulling in, not in our school location, that would be. But I have another question. In Ponchatoula, back to junior high, what if the kids walk up there? A 12-year-old takes a walk down the street.
Yep,
or
we're
she
going
wants
to give
get-
them. We're going to give
Okay.
them.
But they still have to do the form when they get
No.
there. Or whatever.
Yeah, we'll have them just sign their name, but that they're receiving their meal.
Oh, but they don't have to have the form.
Not just one person.
Yeah, so we had a call from, well, actually on our Zoom call today, the Amite High School principal said, there's kids that live right close to the Amite High, will walk there themselves, high school students. And so we were saying, yeah, it doesn't have to be the parent there. They can get a meal and we just want to sign that they received their meal. Yeah. If we have walk-ins, walk-ons, walk-ins.
Walk-ups.
Yeah, walk-ups.
Any others? All right.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the accountability, flexibilities through Bessie. One, we've been on several calls. Let's see, we had a Saturday call at 12. Did we have a Sunday call? No, we had a Sunday call with superintendents. And then we had a Monday call and a Tuesday call today. And so what we're told right now is that there's also in front of you, I received this letter from our governor's office about an hour and a half ago, which lists out all the waivers that he's authorizing. The Bessie president has signed off on these as well. And so now we're just pending the federal approval. And from what I understand, I don't think we see any issues with getting that federal approval at all. So one is school performance scores for our schools, the district performance scores, and early childhood performance profiles for 1920 will not be produced, period, because of this disruption. Teacher evaluations, so our teachers out there, we communicated actually the same information to our principals today. but teacher evaluations can be completed with no further action. So our teachers at this point have one formal evaluation that happened in the first half of the year. Typically, we do a first half of the year, and then we do a second semester observation, formal. And so what it's saying here is that obviously it's disrupted, so we can take just the first semester evaluation and we can finish out those evaluations and we can record those in our data system which is uploaded to the state. So this is just authorizing that we can this year do things just a little bit different because of the circumstances. The third bullet is diploma requirements for graduating seniors, which includes requirements for the minimum instructional minutes for course credit, industry-based credentials, and financial aid applicants have been waived. So today on the call, which they're going to put out more specific information around high school seniors. That's one of the questions that we've received a lot of from the district level. What about our high school seniors? I've had several parents reach out to me and, you know, their child maybe has an F in a subject. They were hoping to bring that up during these, 4 or 5 weeks that will be out, and they're concerned that it will keep them from graduating. And some of you may have received those same concerns. So we're going to work with the state on this. They're going to give us a lot more guidance, but I can tell you that we're going to do what's best for children, and I think it's going to be a local decision for the most part on the promotion for students. And so we are not, just like we're not going to penalize teachers with one evaluation and not 2, we're not going to penalize our students. So I just want to send that message out, and as soon as we get more concrete, we're checking with our districts next to us and around us to kind of see how they're handling this as well, and working together. But we're going to be getting something out within the next, hopefully by Monday, that will be more explicit in terms of our high school seniors, so that we can give a little rest and comfort to our parents.
Ms. Tilly, is that just because I know I asked this question today? My daughter's got an 89 in Algebra 2, and she knew she could get a 90. And so for her, it's a big deal because of TOPS. And are we going to address all our high school students like that? Not just the ones that have an F down that subject that might have could have got a D and get credit. So and that's the questions I'm getting, not just the ones that are failing,
Yes.
but also the ones that are applying for
That are
TOPS,
trying to get a higher grade.
Trying to get a higher grade.
And I think that the waivers that I've seen is around promotion, but I know Lisa's here and she could address if you have anything to add. I don't know.
That's what they're working on.
That's what they're working on.
I gave them all, I gave that scenario today. I sent 3 or 4 scenarios like that, and they're working to get us some guidance. It's just never happened before. So
Yeah.
it's brand new to us.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it.
Additionally, we have, there's waivers to address the state assessments, which would be our students begin in 3rd grade, taking the LEAP 2025, and they go on up to 3rd through 8th. Then we have high school, and so they're saying here that they're optional state assessments if the feds approve this, which we believe they probably will, and it's desired unless the school and the parents, if it's desired by schools and parents. That's the words they're using. So this kind of addresses the state assessments, and I think the letter from John Bell Edwards kind of goes into a little bit more detail there in the bulletin. By the way, I shared that. It says to the education community, that letter. I sent that to all of our employees so that they could read this themselves as well. I've already received a few emails back from some of our teachers. It would waive the educator evaluations again. And this one particular has to do with certification for teachers, and also advanced titles or advanced certifications. That's what this particular bullet is in regards to. In other words, if I'm trying to get a certain certification, then the fact that I only have one evaluation is not going to prohibit me from getting that, is what basically it's saying here. Also, you'll see the end-of-course exams, requirements for our graduating seniors, as well as promotion rules for children's in grades 4 and 8. So these are just some of the waivers that we have been shared with us, and we are continuing to share those out with our teams and our principals and our teachers. Any questions about the waivers or anything like that?
An additional question about assessments is, have we heard anything yet about rescheduling ACT exams or how that, I know we have a lot of parents that,
July?
For the state one,
I'm sorry, Ms. Fasell.
for the state one that was school-based, they originally said when we returned, they would look at rescheduling, but ACT themselves already canceled their Saturday one that would be in April. And they're now, LASFA's going to Bessie to ask if, because the normal TOPS rule is that you have to use no later than your April ACT. So they're asking them to extend that to the June ACT. And I already had several seniors email me to say, what does this mean for my TOPS? Which I was just tickled that they realized that, April was a deadline, because a lot of kids don't know that. So I told them, but it has not been voted on or approved. So it'll go on our FAQ page once that's approved.
so we're looking at doing an ACT test in June, and we're hoping that we'll get an additional waiver that will allow the June test to count towards qualifying for TOPS.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
the whole state. So
For the whole
there-
state, right.
The one that was for our school level, that was supposed to happen March 17th, we are hoping when we return to school that we would be able to test our juniors for free like we normally do. However, ACT themselves, separate from any school district, they canceled their April one, they rescheduled it for June, and our whole state is asking for that waiver.
Well, I'm like I say, I'm just mainly talking about for the seniors that
Yeah.
need to get a good ACT score,
Yeah.
whether for TOPS or for admissions to other colleges. I mean, I know that those are all factors, but
That's
we're
up
looking at June,
Today,
hopefully.
that's what their goal is no April ACT in June.
Okay.
Will the 10th graders take the pre-ACT when they come back to school, since they're going to be juniors?
Yeah, again, it depends. If we go back to school as planned, that's a very easy, it's not a lot of planning for that because we only pay for what we score. So we would definitely want to do that for dual enrollment, but it really does depend on this optional testing and what that looks like when we go back.
Are we going back to school before this year's over with?
Hopefully. Moving forward, we're going to, first of all, we want to continue to communicate out to the public. I think we've done a fairly good job in communicating out through our website and Facebook page. We now have the constant contact that we can do electronic newsletter to all of our families that sign up. They can go to our website. It's right up on, when you go to the website, it's right there on the right-hand side at the top. They can click there, put in their email address. Any community member, a business, anyone can go and sign up to receive our newsletters. And so we want to continually communicate this out and updates about seniors and about graduation and all these things. We also will continue to update our frequently asked questions. So as we get information from the state that is like the answer, or we make decisions, we're going to update, and we can date those so people will know this is, the current information. And so we encourage people to go to our website, encourage your families that contact you to go to our website, go to the frequently asked questions, and look for their question there because it's probably one that someone else has asked as well. We will continue to support our teachers. That's our tech team with their own course in Google Classroom as they need support. We will implement any kind of work schedule for employees that is aligned to the governor's request for social distancing during this time. Just really thinking about the safety of our employees. How do we manage to keep them more separated in the building? All of those things, we're working on communication about that for this week as well. Continue to examine our meal distribution, which I said earlier, tweak it as we need to moving forward. evaluate our current pupil progression policy to determine if the local waivers we need to update those for grade progression or either graduating seniors. And then also the last thing is just really continue to be flexible every day, because as you know, every day is a new day, and sometimes there's news that comes down from the federal or the state level that we have to respond to quickly. So, we have to be ready to, adjust, be flexible, make the changes we need to make quickly, communicate out, and move on. So this is sort of our game plan moving over the next course of the next few weeks. I'll take any questions that you have on any topic in terms of this.
Okay, Ms. Stilley, I understand that we are in the process of sanitizing the buses, right?
Yes, well, the buses need to be sanitized, and we do want to do that. The challenge that we're having now is with the cleaners and the disinfectants and things, and we have an order that's shipped, we've ordered that hasn't arrived yet. So we have some things that we're using to clean cafeterias because they're preparing, food in there, in our schools. And so at the point in which we will begin to use, before we begin to use buses, we will disinfect and make sure that they're ready for our students as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Yeah. Has there been a consideration to use the buses for food distribution if we start to run into some problems? Has that been a consideration?
Yes, we have discussed that internally at our meetings. And, we wanted to start with this plan and then see how it works and then go from there. We're not adamantly opposed to doing that at all. And if we were to use buses to do that, we would just do the disinfecting before we did any kind of transporting of any food on the bus.
Okay.
Ms.
Yeah.
Simmons?
I'm just amazed at the job that you and your staff have done. I just want to commend you. Amazing, and the information and also getting it out to us and tonight, all that you've done. I just can't even imagine what that must have been like, but I want to commend you.
It's the
all of
team.
you.
They do a great job, and many of them are not here tonight. Yeah, oh yeah.
I know,
There's
I know.
a lot of different people working together, making it happen, and we all work well together. We're not threatened by each other's area, so, we go into the other lanes sometimes and give advice and things like that, and we're good with that. But thank you.
Well, pass this on, because you get the standing ovation.
That's
There you go. Thank y'all.
Very nice job.
Ms. Dominguez?
Yes, Ms. Stilley, I just wanted to thank you as well for this was a lot of detail that I think, our families and even us appreciate. I appreciate you keeping us in the loop. If you'll continue to do that, so if we get questions, we'll know the answers as well. There are also some with technology. I know we had gotten an email last week that people are already threatening to, if you click on something, make sure you're clicking on the right thing for information, because we've already had attempts to hack our system again, as well as other people at their homes. Just remind people, if they go to our website and read this stuff and all this information in detail, pretty much everything is answered. Instead of just guessing or asking people on Facebook, go to the true source, and y'all have put it out here perfectly, and all of the lessons that were posted, I went through it and did it really quick, and it was very easy. So even the students can truly find it, because it's so easy to find a lesson, and that was a feat in itself. So thank you so much for everything, and we appreciate all of the, the government entities as well that have been helping us, parish governments as well. It's just been a trying time for all of us, so hopefully it's going to settle down soon.
I do want to mention one quick thing. I told the principal group, I think it was yesterday, that we have to take lemons sometime, we have to make lemonade. And so, I always try to see the silver lining in things whenever we have challenges that happen to us. And so one of the things that I think that we will be better on the other side of this is that, it was an opportunity. We have been working to get all of our teachers in the parish, we have 1,200, to utilize Google Classroom or OnCourse Classroom in their daily lessons, like with their materials, because when students are in PAC, or when students are miss school because they're sick or they're homebound, I mean, there's a whole array of reasons they might not be in school. When we were in school, you know, our teacher would make like little packets and put them on the makeup file shelf, and we would come in and get our little packet, and that's what we knew we had to make up. Well, now with technology, when students are not in the classroom, they can access, you know, the Eureka videos, the lesson, everything they need to make up their work. But we needed our teachers to get all of that stuff built in their portal. And this has really accelerated that. So we went from maybe, you know, 300 teachers that were using this to now almost 1,200. So that has been a positive thing, because now while they're at home working, we're asking them to start looking at August and start building out their classroom for August. It's a perfect time to do it. They're at home, they have extra time there, so they can work out and build those August, September lessons out with all those resources. That's one silver lining. The other silver lining is that during this time, we want to get our rock star teachers that are just experts, like you know, particular subject areas, and their results show it. And we want them to, we want to pay them a stipend to build out a true online course.
That's good.
Like Algebra 1. Credit, they do
Yeah.
attendance, they have grades embedded, there's, you know, it's a true online class. So that if something like this ever happens to us again,
That's great.
we'll have courses for all those grade bands that our kids can immediately enroll in and do. The other part of the problem we have to solve is the technology. And one of the things that we think that we're going to be able to do is purchase more Chromebooks, and through the emergency declaration, we're able to get those, we're thinking we can get some of those funds reimbursed back to us. So right now, we probably have, I think Mike said about 13,000 or maybe 11,000 Chromebooks, something like that. Oh, 13,000. Sorry, thanks, Brett. I was thinking, that's a lot of Chromebooks. But we have a real opportunity to purchase more and pay maybe 25 cents on a dollar versus the whole dollar. So that's another silver lining. So, you know, building out those courses, we've been talking about doing that. It's in our strategic plan. We've been wanting to do it. But when teachers teach all day and they just don't have time to do that in addition. So this is a perfect time to get them to build those out, pay them a stipend for doing that. So if you're in Kentwood taking Algebra 1 and you're in Ponchatoula or La Rondra or wherever, you're getting the same course, the same tests, the same everything. And it includes their instruction as well. So the teacher teaching it, or either there's a video of someone teaching that particular lesson. So those are three things that we're going to be better for when we get to on the other side of this thing. And so those are the things we're working on too, behind the scenes, that maybe we don't have releases for and all that. Okay?
Ms. Lilly, one last thing? One last thing? Okay.
Question.
While we're referencing technology, right, and I'm referring now to some of the students who live in more impoverished households that don't have technology to access on course. Are we doing a supplemental pencil paper?
Good question.
Okay. To
So-
augment that?
Yeah, so one of the things that we wanted our teachers to do Monday, and if they didn't get it done Monday, Tuesday, was to reach out to their parents of the kids that they teach and assess, do you have a device at home? Do you have Wi-Fi? You know, even if it's a smartphone and Wi-Fi, or, you know, whatever, assess that. And if they said, no, we don't have, then the option for the parent was they could get a paper packet of stuff to work on for different subjects. We don't want to force that out, because we don't want to just force out work that's going to stress. Right now, people's stress level is already here, with the circumstances that we're dealing with in our world today. But if a parent requests that from the teacher, or the teacher feels like, okay, this is a parent that doesn't have these things and I'm going to offer this option, and the parent wants to take that option, we will do that. And we have communicated that very clearly to our teachers and our principals.
Thank you, Ms. Dilly. Okay, item 3C, consider approval industrial tax exemption application number 201-90086 for Fisher Manufacturing Services. Mr. Snotabot.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have been notified, or notice has been given to the Tangipahoa Parish School Board. The tax exemption application for Fisher Manufacturing Services was approved by the Board of Commerce and Industry on February 21st, 2020. Our board has 30 days to determine whether they want to take further action on approval of this tax exemption or non-approval on the tax exemption. So we're presenting it for the board for consideration tonight, and the administration really has no position on this matter. The total tax revenue for the school system over the future 10 years is less than $1,800.
Okay, we do have a public input on this agenda item, so before we discuss, I'd like to ask Mr. Fisher, Mr. Nicholas Fisher, to come up, please. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Good evening. We purchased these pieces of equipment to expand our facility here in Tangipahoa Parish. We moved here in 1999 from Jefferson Parish. We've been in business for 38 years. I bought this machine because of the technology. It allows us to do larger parts, more precision, and we don't necessarily go out to buy expensive pieces of equipment to look for the tax break. The state allows this. We applied for it. We hope you approve it. You know, I'm the individual. I wanted you all to meet me because I'm the guy that pays the note on this thing every month. It's very difficult. It's a very expensive business to run. But unfortunately, for me, we have to go through this process. And I want you to understand that we employed a person when we bought the machine, just as it required by law. We put down that we would try to. We're trying to improve, our machining capabilities and expand it in Tangipahoa Parish and hire more employees. It's no guarantee in this business. Nobody's in the small business like myself is guaranteed. Nobody can guarantee me that I'm going to have a job at the end of the year, especially in our economy, what's going on right now. You all have a difficult enough time right now with the school board. And me as a business owner, I'm going to be, also equally impacted by this. But this is very important to me, and I appreciate your time on it. And I would hope you consider, voting yes on it.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Okay, do I get that in the form of a motion to consider the approval?
I'll make a motion that we consider the approval of tax exemption application for Fisher Manufacturing.
All right, motion made by Mr. Bush. Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? Motion then dies by lack of second. Item D, any other updates?
I think the way we did last time, we had to actually make a motion to reject the,
Don't make a motion to reject.
That's the,
If you don't make a motion to reject, then the board's inaction will be an approval.
Mr. President, I'll move to reject the application for the tax exemption.
then we do have a motion to reject the application made by Mr. Duncan,
second.
second by Mr. Dominguez. Any debate or questions on that?
Voting is now open. Online voting is now closed. Motion passes.
Okay, personal privilege. Mr. Bush, starting with on your end tonight.
I'd like to just say that I was contacted since Saturday by somebody in every school district in our parish. It was a humbling experience, and I just want to say that, as I told these people that called me to tell me thank you, is that it is a team effort. And so I don't know if people realize that our schools are miracles. Let me use Punchville High School, for example. When that bell rings, 2,000 people have to move, and they have 5 minutes to get where they want to go. And it happens in every school of our parish every 45, 50, 55 minutes. We are doing very well considering what could happen. So, again, I've worked with Ron Jinko, Mr. Schneiderbach when I worked in education. Melissa Stilley and I bumped our shoulders a few times as she was in curriculum. And I just want to say again, we live for floods, Katrinas, cyber attacks, and this is what we're trained to do. You did an excellent job. I'll put us up against all 64 parishes and 4 independent school districts that we have in the state. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. All right, over to this side.
I'll just repeat again what I said a while ago. We thank you, your staff, and all of our people that work so hard to surmount this problem, and we're just praying for better days coming. Thank y'all so much for all the hard work.
Mr. Westmoreland?
Yes, I'd like to just repeat that. I think everyone has done an excellent job. Thank everybody in the district, starting from the superintendent down, doing an excellent job. And I think if we continue on this course with our maker, we're going to do just fine. We're going to overcome this.
Absolutely. Mr. Moore?
Yeah, I too would like to commend the superintendent and the assistants and the staff. I would like to commend the community for stepping up with their efforts to want to volunteer to help out in this crisis.
Thank you. Ms. Abrams?
To our superintendent, all of the superintendents in the state were given this at the same time when our governor passed this in the news media. So you didn't have an advance opportunity to prepare for this, and we want to thank you and all of your staff for doing such an amazing job. Right now, so many people are just so disappointed with so many things going on. You have seniors that are worried about their proms. They don't get to play their last baseball season, their last softball season. This is times these kids cannot get back. They can't get this back. You know, they might redshirt college students, but seniors cannot get this time back, and it's very just heartbreaking for them. So make sure you try to, encourage your seniors and just, there's nothing that's going to make it up to them, but we have to just console them as much as we can. So many things are being canceled, and people have weddings, baby showers, so many things that are being canceled, and everybody is just so disappointed. But we will move on, and God has a reason for doing everything that He does.
Absolutely. Ms. Dillon? Or you can wait till last? Ms. Richards?
I too would like to commend the team for an awesome job because, like she said, we got the message at the same time, and they just stepped up and they're making everything work. And of course, there's going to be some bumps in the system, but we are looking at the silver linings, and I really like the silver linings that's coming out of it. And I want to commend the seniors because now that's where my phone has been just ringing because the seniors is calling and they're asking questions, and we do want you to know that we are concerned and we're heartfelt for you because we know that this is a big moment for you, and that the superintendent, and I'm just so grateful that when the little questions come to me, I go straight to the superintendent. And even in all of that she's going on, she takes the time to answer those questions for us, and we get them back to the children. So we just want to say to you and to the parents and the community to please just be patient with us, and we really have everything at heart of all of your concerns, and we will do our very, very best to give you the best service.
Thank you. Mr. Duncan?
I would just ask folks to add our school system to your prayer list, specifically praying that next year we could finally have a normal school year without some sort of crisis to deal with. You know, the bottom line is our administrative team, year after year after year, has become an expert team in dealing with crises of every single variety, whether it's fire, to a budget crisis, to a flood crisis, to this year having to deal with a cyber crisis and a coronavirus crisis all in one year. They do excellent work, and I can't wait until we have a year, which I don't know if we have had one in the 10 years I've been on the board, but man, if we could just have a normal school year without some sort of crisis, man, it would be great to see what this team could actually do in that scenario, together with being relieved of federal court supervision and maybe even one day having some degree of adequate funding to run our school system. Man, what the future could possibly look like for this parish is unbelievable, because again, we have an administrative team that is incredibly capable, and if we could just put some normalcy and some funding together with that one day, what's that thing that Dr. Seuss says, the places we could go.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Well, Brett, I don't know if you realized it, but you gave the problem and the answer yourself, because you see, it's the hard times that really show what we're made of. And it's obvious we're made of something. This board itself, which I'm very proud to serve on, our superintendent, assistant superintendents, and all of the staff shows what we're made of. And also, too, through that brokenness of going through the trials that we go through each of these times that you mentioned, that's where God gets in there and shows you what you're made of, and He gives you that strength to go on. And I want to end with this. You know, I was concerned, because I'm older, about the virus, but mostly, too, a lot of my retirement is in the stock market, and you know where it's going. And so I was really stressing, and then all of a sudden, this is a scripture that God brought to me out of 2 Timothy. For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And that's been running over in my spirit over and over as I pray about all of this, and pray for Miss Stilley and our leaders of our country every day. To me, that's the answer, the prayer. Holding each other up in prayer, and especially our leaders. Oh, and I want to thank everybody for their TARC donations. The Baileys did quite well during our hour. And did you hear the comments about you and your wallet and your $100 bills? We did it again, but we did really, really well. So I'm proud, and I thank everybody for donating.
Thank you. And I would just echo what the board members are saying. I want to thank the staff, your whole staff, superintendent,
everybody.
and the whole team.
Yep.
Watching this from minute one till now, I've been very impressed with the way this is rolling out. Quick to respond to answers or to questions. And I know that these are some late nights for you, but we do appreciate the leadership in that. I also want to compliment the principals and the teachers. You know, being married to a teacher, I see what she's coming up with this fourth grade stuff, and you know, they roll out these plans, and the principal says, you can't do that, so she goes back and she throws it and starts over again. And just the communication, I'm impressed, talking to several of the teachers, the communication between our teachers and the parents that started Monday. That's vital. And we've always needed more parental help in our schools. We all know that. I'm asking and I'm pleading that we get more and more parental help, especially right now. And I said this with Ken the other day in an interview. We need to turn the news off. You know, the kids do not need to sit at their house all day and watch bad news constantly. And then they don't need to sit in the living room and listen to mom and dad talk about how bad the stock market is. And kids need to be filtered on all this information. We constantly get news from parents that are asking for recess time and for more of this and more of that. So we're asking the parents to please get your kids outside, give them a kickball, do a kickball game, do something, get them unplugged from the TV and from their smartphones and from their tablets. Let them play outside and tune this world out. Calm brings more calm, and fear brings more fear. And right now, there's enough fear in this world to go around. Let's try to bring some calmness in, and this too shall pass, especially with the leadership that we have here. So I encourage them to do that. And I'm going to leave the last word to you, Ms. Superintendent.
Well, I just want to say that, first of all, you know, I've been in education now for 33 years, and I was just sitting here doing the math, and it was 20 years ago when I became principal for the first time. And so, you know, I've been around a lot of boards, and I will say that this is the best board overall, working together, just, you know, trying to respect each other's opinions, not always agreeing. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but, you know, we come in and we're open-minded. And so I appreciate the board's support and confidence in our team, because it is hard. It's difficult to make those decisions, and I can't even imagine if we had a board that just, you know, didn't support our ability to make those decisions. And secondly, our team, which we have part of them here tonight, but, you know, we meet a lot. We're very different sometimes in our thinking, which is good. That's what makes a good team. We have different strengths and different weaknesses. And we talk, you know, we're comfortable and we feel safe to say what we need to say, like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And then the other one, and you know, one thing I've noticed this week is we always used to really stress about what our neighboring districts were doing. And we were in a meeting yesterday or today, and somebody said, well, what do we want to do in Tangipahoa? And I said, yeah, what do we want to do? And so we just thought about what is the best thing to do. So it's just wonderful to have this expertise, and y'all are so right. We're so blessed to have this team. Lisa Fussell, who's sitting on the second row over there with academics, just helping us guide the ship in that direction. And we have many more, the tech team, the teachers, the principals. We've got, you know, there's just a lot of different people. And what I will say is that we're in a place in this district where we work truly as a team, including the board, and we are free to express our opinions. We don't have to feel threatened to, you know, bounce ideas or think somebody thinks we're crazy if we have this idea that's not like, if it's out of the box, as Tom will say, out of the box thinking sometimes. And that's a good way to be. And so I appreciate the public's patience. You know, I know that when we hear news like this on Friday after 1 o'clock, everybody wants to know what's the plan. But it does take a little time to kind of, you know, get over the shock first and then think about, okay, what's the plan? So I know, you know, we appreciate the public's patience. And, you know, we want to work to answer those questions. We know there's lots of questions out there, and we will continue to do that moving forward. But, you know, again, we've come through two difficult things this year. The cyber attack was, you know, really knocked us off our feet for a little while, but we were able to get back up and be better. And we'll do the same for this. So it's a great place to be, and I agree with Mr. Duncan that if we could just have a year without any major, just one, with the team and the board we have and all the things we have moving in the right direction, I mean, the sky's the limit for this district, and I'm just excited to be a part of this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 5A, do I hear a motion to go into executive session to consider the case of Olivia Scow versus Tangipahoa Parish School Board, case number 19-07435?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Duncan, second by Ms. Simmons. All in favor?
Channel 17, proudly serving the Florida parishes.
Seconded by Mr. Westmoreland to adopt council's recommendation.
Online voting is open.
Yes.
Yes. My connection said.
I closed it out, sorry.
Yes.
You vote yes, Mr. Westmoreland.
Yes.
Online voting is closed. Motion passes.
All right. Motion carries. Anything else? No more public input? Nothing else? Meeting is adjourned. Please pray for our school system.
Don't go.
No, I've already heard both of them.